Things are heating up in New Hampshire. We got a new poll there, and we're breaking down who the favorite Democratic candidates are. Plus, controversy brews over Tom Steyer's announcement that he met the donor requirement for the next debate. He's very close to getting in there.
Team Rising is here. Zach Friend is a Democratic strategist, previously served as spokesperson for Obama for America, and Lauren Claffey is a Republican strategist, previously worked as a Deputy Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs at the Department of Homeland Security. Welcome to you both.
How's it going?
Great to be here.
So we have got a very interesting new poll out of New Hampshire from Gravis Marketing showing Bernie Sanders in the lead at 21%, beating Joe Biden at 15%, Elizabeth Warren clocking in at 12%, Pete Buttigieg at 8%, Kamala Harris, the rest, 7%. Noteworthy, actually, Tulsi Gabbard at 5%. Zach, what do you owe this possible, I guess, takeover in New Hampshire of Joe Biden by Bernie Sanders? I mean, obviously won the state in the last go-around, but given Elizabeth Warren and many of the other candidates, it's noteworthy that he's still able to take the lead.
New Hampshire has an independent streak. There's absolutely no question about it. You think about 2008, Obama won in Iowa. It seemed like he was on his way to take over New Hampshire. He ended up losing by almost 10 points. So, I mean, I think that I'm not surprised. McCain, this is the state that actually gives people a second chance, if there's any state in the country that does. So I'm not really surprised with its independent streak. You know, he does serve pretty much next door there, too, so I'm not surprised on that. Remember, the key thing here is the 15% threshold. I mean, none of this really matters if you don't get the 15% threshold because you don't get delegates.
That's a good point.
Without the 15%.
So you really only have two candidates
who are making that.
That's exactly right.
Granted, there's a margin of error there, but what do you make of this, Lauren? I mean, I think Zach is right. New Hampshire is the place that always surprises people.
Oh, yeah, it does. I mean, it's the first one. I mean, going on the Republican side, it's the state that for the primary elected Donald Trump, in Kasich came in
like
second.
30 points.
Yeah, something crazy. Kasich was like at 15%. So they always tend to go towards more unconventional candidates, so it's not surprising. But like we said, if you look at the average, Biden's still winning in all of the polls for New Hampshire, and this one, the margin of error, I don't think like Bernie's up that much. So
yeah, look, it's 6.2%. It's 6.2%. I think it is broadly. What's more interesting to me was that, and this is what a lot of guests on the show talked about, is that Warren and Bernie both having that proximity to the state makes it so that it is kind of a battle between them, and then Biden will just split that centrist vote. And I guess the real question is how the New Hampshire voters are looking at this. I mean, it's possible that it could be more of a benefit to Bernie Sanders, given he draws from a more working class coalition as opposed to Elizabeth Warren's upper middle class white liberal coalition, right, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. Yeah. I also think that in some respects, as long as Biden gets close there, assuming Biden is able to, what advantages Biden is his large field, quite frankly. I mean, similar to Trump, the large field, he's got a ceiling, but he's also got a floor, and that actually isn't a bad place to be with this size of a field.
Hanging out at 30%.
I mean, if you come in second in New Hampshire, it's not going to seem like he's not the front runner. I mean, in that sense, and I don't think it necessarily gives Bernie any legs.
That's actually what I want to get both your thoughts on is, for whom is New Hampshire a must-win? Because part of the other phenomenon with Obama was after he won Iowa, then there was this coalescing around him among African American voters in particular, said, oh my God, this guy could actually win. If you're a Kamala Harris, if you're a Cory Booker, you're looking for a similar dynamic. And I would say also, if you're a Sanders or a Warren, you got to show up strong in one of those early states to stay in the game as well. So for whom do you think New Hampshire is a must-win, Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's anybody who's looking to seek momentum. So anybody who is not Biden is going to need to win this because they need to show a record of success. They need to show momentum. They need to coalesce those folks. They need to also push people out, right, and like grab those voters. So, you know, I think that, you know, to say that I think it's too early, like this is going to happen, you know, early next year. And so a lot can change in that time period. But this is going to be a must win for anybody who is not Biden because they've got to show that
somebody needs to be the alternative to Biden, basically, and like make it that head-to-head matchup.
Well, I mean, for Biden, Iowa's a must-win. Otherwise, he's not a front-runner anymore in many respects. But New Hampshire's, I think, less important for him. But it really sets the stage for South Carolina, and you can see that that's really the candidate move for Senator Harris and Senator Booker, which is how do we get to South Carolina and show that we can have a strong showing there?
Yeah, I'm not optimistic on their behalf. We also have a very new Hill Harris X poll exclusively here with Joe Biden clocking in at 31%. Bernie Sanders at 16%.
Poll, by the way,
this is a national poll. Elizabeth Warren at 10%. 10%, Kamala Harris at 7%. Similar dynamics, but obviously Joe Biden riding up there at the top. Noteworthy
Marianne
that everybody.
Coming in at 2%.
Yeah, I know. Right. This is right after that second debate, and it's noteworthy here that everybody in the top seems to have dropped, with consolidating support at the lower tiers of the candidates, 1 or 2%. Might make sense, Zach, given the strong debate performances of an Andrew Yang or Julian Castro or Steve Bullock, who is I think the first time that I've seen him up here.
Well, to Lauren's point, it's so early. I don't even know if this really matters
really?
right now. On the national, I mean, in all sincerity, who were the leaders at this point in 2008? It was Hillary Clinton and it was Jeb Bush. I mean, so none of them were president of the United States. So, in that sense, I don't know if it truly matters. And there's at least 2% of Democratic voters are clearly yoga supporters. Otherwise, Marilyn Williamson wouldn't have a chance. But with that,
she had a good performance.
Yeah, she had a good performance. Okay, but I do think what is interesting, for all the attacks on Vice President Biden, he's been pretty solid in his numbers, and I think that that's something to note.
I think it is something to note. I mean, this poll reflects they've been a little bit all over the map, especially in the second, third, fourth place positioning, but none of these debates. Neither of the debates really changed the landscape or changed the game that much. So is this the field? Is this basically what we're looking at? Or is there still something that could knock Biden from his front-runner perch?
Yeah, I mean, I think, once again, it's still early. A lot could happen. And all of these polls, because of the way the DNC has structured the debates, is all it matters is these polls getting them to the debates.
Right.
Because there's still so many that it can happen. And that television audience, as much as people don't like how it's disrupting the ground game and the retail politics in the early states, the television performance is what's going to get the donors, is what's going to get some of the support.
What's noteworthy to me? Oh, yeah.
Because we're going to talk about the debates.
We'll talk about it.
We'll be right back after this.